This video is brought to you by Surfshark VPN. Stick around to the end of the video for a special offer they're making available through my channel. Gamers! Not gonna lie, I had a great Easter. Watched some Expanse, which totally rules by the way. Ate plenty of chocolate. Went to the Easter show here in Sydney, which is kind of like a fair with rides and stuff, but also heaps of animals, so you end up stepping in horse shit at least 2 or 3 times a day. Also got to record a podcast with Mr. Matty Plays. Well, to be honest, we actually recorded it a while ago, but it went up this weekend on his channel. Matty is a super talented game reviewer. I always like his stuff. We had a good chat about the way we review video games, so if you're keen to check that out, then I'll leave a link to that one below. This is a short, sharp week, and I know I've said that before, and it still resulted in 30-minute plus videos, but this time it's different, I swear. Austin rolls his eyes whenever I promise a short video at this point. To be honest, I can't blame him. It was a quiet week on the news, releases, and announcements front, but we've still got some stuff to talk about it, so let's get to it, shall we? Here comes the news. While the rest of the industry was on standby mode, it was a very big week for CD Projekt Red news, who this week dished out sales figures and roadmaps for their 2 franchises, The Witcher and Cyberpunk. Let's do The Witcher first. So the good news is that the Witcher franchise has sold an absolute boatload, 65 million units to be precise, with 40 million of those being The Witcher 3. These figures are interesting because that means that The Witcher 1 and 2 together have sold 25 million units. That's nuts! I really would not have expected that since, for comparison's sake, the entire Dark Souls trilogy has sold 27 million units as of 2020. I know The Witcher had done well for CD Projekt Red, but I thought it was like 90% The Witcher 3. Kinda cool to know those older games did so well. But yes, The Witcher 3 is CD Projekt Red's ultimate powerhouse, with 40 million units sold, a spin-off game in the form of Gwent, and a blockbuster Netflix adaptation starring Superman. With these sorts of numbers, it's no surprise that CD Projekt Red are currently working on a new mainline Witcher game, announced just a few weeks ago, and unlikely to be released anytime before 2026. While we wait for that, we have to keep replaying The Witcher 3, and the promised next-gen updates were meant to be our next big excuse to do that. These were already delayed into Q2 2022, whereas they should have shipped at some point last year, and this week CD Projekt Red again delayed these next-gen versions, except this time they didn't even provide a new release window. Quote, "We have decided to have our in-house development team conduct the remaining work on the next-gen version of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. We are currently evaluating the scope of work to be done and thus have to postpone Q2 release until further notice," end quote. This led more than a few people to wonder if there were big problems with these updates and that they might be stuck in development hell. CD Projekt Red VP of Business Development Mikhail Nowakowski responded to these rumors in an investor call, saying, quote, "There's been a lot of insinuations that we're going to launch like June next year or something like that. That's completely not the case. Everything we're saying is we have taken the development of the game in-house. The game is going to be finished in-house. We're evaluating our time. That requires a bit of investigation. That's all we're saying. Nobody's saying the game is delayed with some monumental time gap ahead of us. That's as much as I can say about Witcher Next Gen, but I really want to emphasize that fact," end quote. Later in the call, they'd go on to say that only about 15 CD Projekt Red developers are assigned to the next-gen updates at this point, implying that this probably is pretty close to being ready to ship. At a guess, we're looking at a Q3 release, maybe Q4 at the latest, but it doesn't look like much later than that. While some parts of CD Projekt Red work to update The Witcher, other parts of CD Projekt Red work to fix Cyberpunk, though it seems as though the better parts of their labors are behind them now. During an earnings call, a CD Projekt Red representative said, quote, "We will obviously continue supporting Cyberpunk 2077 and still working on updating it, but the vast part of the job we believe has already been done and was done in 2021, end quote. They went on to show that only a small skeleton staff remain on Cyberpunk's base game, with staff now being moved on to other projects, including Cyberpunk's 2 promised expansions, and of course The Witcher 4. Speaking of those expansions, the first of those got a delay, sort of. I don't recall there being a promised date or release window for this expansion, but I know everyone was sort of expecting it to arrive at some point in 2022. That's not the case though, as this week CD Projekt Red confirmed that the first expansion will arrive at some point in 2023. The news came in a tweet from the Cyberpunk Twitter account, which also said we can expect to hear more news about the expansion later this year. A delay on this expansion is just fine and dandy. Cyberpunk's release was one of the most scarring events in industry history, and I'm sure CD Projekt Red are eager to avoid a repeat of that, and I know we are too. The final piece of Cyberpunk news showed the price that CD Projekt Red paid for the shoddy launch date of the game. They revealed that Cyberpunk has now sold 18 million copies since launch, which is a super impressive figure to be sure, but let's remember that the game sold around 14 million units in its launch window, which means that it's only sold around 4 million units in the 18 months since then. That's very, very bad for a game with this sort of development and marketing budget, not to mention the sorts of expectations it had. Some analysts predicted that Cyberpunk could have sold 70 million units over its lifetime, but that sort of figure is an impossible pipe dream now, owing to both devastating word of mouth and Sony straight up refusing to sell the game on their storefront for a long time. Cyberpunk will surely continue to sell in perpetuity, but as I've said before, the lasting legacy of Cyberpunk will almost certainly be its looming presence as a cautionary tale, rather than its accomplishments as a narrative-driven open-world action RPG. And that's a shame, because Judy deserved better. Hey, you know how Kojima likes to mess with us for shits and giggles? This week he thought it'd be funny to tweet out a picture that looked like he was selling his studio to Sony, only to follow up later with "Psych!" Classic Kojima. It started with this tweet from his official Japanese Twitter account, where the Lale Lule legend tweeted out this image: PlayStation Studios key art with a collection of first-party IP in the background, and to the far left is Death Stranding. Now, Sony does own the Death Stranding IP, but Kojima Productions is not a PlayStation studio, so when he tweets out an image like this, everyone is going to rightly assume that this is an announcement of Sony and Kojima reaching a deal to purchase his studio. So that's what happened, and soon after that, Kojima was forced to issue a clarification saying, quote, "I seem to have invited misinterpretation, but Koji Pro has been and will continue to be an independent production studio," end quote. Is this the start of another blue box level conspiracy quest chain? God, I hope so. We still don't know what Kojima's working on next, with rumors swirling about a potential stab at Silent Hill, so long as he and Konami can come to terms, and Guillermo del Toro quietly flirting with the camera about a potential Kojima collab. No word yet, but given that Death Stranding was a little while ago now, I expect we'll hear something soon. Sticking with PlayStation, we got rare insight into the inner machinations of PS Plus this week, and while the free games thing is a pretty good deal for us, it isn't always a great deal for developers. Lorne Lanning is an industry luminary at this point, launching the Oddworld franchise back in the PS1 days, where the game was one of the defining franchises on the emerging platform. It helped set the tone for a more quirky, offbeat, and adult experience than other consoles were able to provide, and along with the likes of Crash Bandicoot, Ridge Racer, Tomb Raider, and Wipeout, was one of the load-bearing pillars of the early PlayStation portfolio. Lanning was speaking recently about the fact that Abe's latest outing, Oddworld Soulstorm, arrived on PS Plus, and he did not mince words, quote, "The most we could sell is less than the money we're getting. We might sell 50,000 units at launch, maybe 100,000 units. It was pretty small numbers because there wasn't going to be a lot of PS5s. Because it slipped to April, we had the highest downloaded game on PS5, and it was, I think, approaching close to 4 million units or something like that for free, because they were all subscriptions. So for us, it was devastating," end quote. He's referring to the fact that when he delayed his game, it meant that more people had PS5s by the time it came out, which meant that more people could claim it for free rather than purchase it later on when the game was removed from the PS Plus program. Subscriptions are a double-edged sword in that they do lock in some money to make sure your game is made, but they do limit the potential upside. For example, it's rumored that Guardians of the Galaxy cost Microsoft only around $5 to $10 million to get onto Game Pass, which if you average out likely downloads, equates to around $2 per unit for Square. That's a rough deal, but at the same time, it also puts the game into more people's hands, fattening out the pipeline for a potential sequel. The emerging dynamics of this business model are going to continue to evolve. In some good ways, surely, but also in some bad ways. Like this, for example. This probably sucks. Future Xbox games might have ads in them. This report comes courtesy of Business Insider, who say that Microsoft are currently in the process of building ad tech that will show ads in free-to-play titles. This is not confirmed, obviously, but Business Insider are so confident in this that they say the tech will roll out later this year. What will these ads look like? I don't know. Mountain Dew billboards as we race around a free-to-play version of Forza, capture the Dorito flag in Halo Infinite, Ryobi chainsaw skins in Gears of War? I don't know. The economics of free-to-play games are complex, and if this stuff was coming in so that microtransactions could be moved out, then I'd probably be okay with it. But I'm pretty sure this is just going to end up being all the same microtransactions we currently have with these new ads crammed in. So yeah, I'm not exactly looking forward to this one. Speaking of racing games, we got a tiny smidgen of news about the unannounced but imminent Need for Speed game. Jeff Grubb of VentureBeat has said on a few occasions now that this thing will ship in November of this year, that it will be next-gen exclusive, and now he's said that it'll have some anime elements. Quote, "It'll be photorealistic, but it's going to have on top of that anime elements. You know, when you see a car commercial or something like that, and the car's driving around, but then cartoon flames and stuff are flying off it, that's the kind of aesthetic they seem to be going for," end quote. That sounds sick, to be honest, and given Criterion are doing this one, and given that it's been a long time since I played a Need for Speed game, I'm actually quite pumped for this. Okay, this next story is super weird. The Californian lawsuit against Activision-Blizzard continues despite their impending acquisition by Microsoft. This week, the assistant chief counsel on that case, one Melanie Proctor, resigned her post in protest of the firing of the chief counsel, Janet Whipper. In so doing, Proctor said that her resignation and Whipper's firing were as a result of interference in the case by Californian Governor Gavin Newsom. This story comes from Jason Schreier of Bloomberg, who reports that Newsom was requesting advance notice on elements of the litigation, which Proctor claimed mimicked the interests of Activision's counsel. This is a serious allegation because it implies that the governor of California was essentially running interference for Bobby Kotick and his buddies. There's no publicly available proof of this yet, and the governor has denied any and all involvement with this matter, but there's definitely something fishy going on here, since people are getting fired and resigning, and that doesn't happen for no reason. This is a potentially really big story that I'll keep you posted on as more details come to light. Babylon's Fall. Look, to be honest, I haven't seen a game flop this hard since Lawbreakers, but the difference is, Lawbreakers was actually pretty cool, whereas Babylon's Fall is just straight up garbage. This game sits at 38% mostly negative on Steam, and that number is falling by the day as matchmaking in-game becomes an increasingly impossible task. Why is it so hard, you ask? Well, the concurrent player count on Steam hit a new low last week: 8. That's right, 8 people were playing this game, and while that is a statistical outlier, the 24-hour average of 123 people is hardly an improvement. This is just a spectacular flop, and while Square Enix promised that the game will get future updates and support, there is absolutely no way that this game goes the distance, and I expect servers will be taken offline just as Square Enix can avoid any refund issues that they might encounter if they were to retire it too early. Square Enix are no fools though. They've learned from their live service mistakes from games like Marvel's Avengers and Babylon's Fall, and they've charted a bold new direction for the company: NFTs. This week in No Fucking Thanks, the Square Enix president Yosuke Matsuda doubled down on his deeply fucked up New Year's Eve address, where he tried to ruin everyone's night by outlining his plan to ruin video games in the year 2022. There was hope that with the recent collapse of the NFT market that Matsuda might have moved on from all this, but apparently not. Speaking this week to Yahoo Japan, Matsuda reiterated pretty much every point word for word, signaling that Square Enix are more committed than ever to developing NFT bullshit that absolutely no one is asking for. I have an idea. Take all that development money you'd spend on NFTs, give it to Eidos, and let them make Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We get a cool video game, you get some sales, and the added bonus is that people don't hate you, which I find to be pretty helpful most of the time, but I don't know, that's just me. There were rumors this week that Blizzard were making sexy eyes at NFTs, sending out a survey to people to gauge their interest in NFTs and play-to-earn games. Word got around and everyone was nervous about this until Blizzard CEO Mike Ybarra responded to a tweet on the matter, saying, quote, "No one is doing NFTs," end quote. While that may be true of Blizzard, I wish it were true more broadly, Mike. I really do. So, what got announced or delayed this week? Well, just a few things. First up, Hardspace Shipbreaker got an official 1.0 release date, 24th of May, arriving exclusive to PC and available day one on Game Pass. If you haven't heard of it before, you play as a belter loader. I'm sorry, I'm watching too much Expanse right now. You play as a salvager working in the far reaches of space, hacking apart ships to reclaim their precious components to pay off your copious debts. That's dangerous business though, since the combination of stuff like physics, sharp objects, electricity, and explosives means that a surgical approach is going to yield better results than a sledgehammer. This one has been in early access since June 2020 and has nothing but positive buzz right the way through. May is a very dry month, so I certainly plan on checking this one out. Surprise! No More Heroes 3 is coming to other platforms. The offbeat action RPG was a Switch exclusive, but it turns out that come Northern Fall this year, you'll be able to play it on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. No specific release date yet. These aren't just straight ports, mind you. Players can expect, quote, improved HD visuals, frame rates, and faster load times to keep players dishing out eye-popping ultra-violence, end quote. That's according to Xseed, who are handling the ports to other platforms. Performance was one of the things that dragged review scores down for this one, so it'll be interesting to see how substantial these improvements are. And finally, Sean Murray and his team at Hello Games aren't done dishing out free shit for No Man's Sky. It's like the world's longest apology tour at this point, and for about 8 updates, we've all been saying, Sean, please, charge us something for this. You're starting to make us feel guilty. Unmoved, Hello Games have just shipped the Outlaws update, which adds new solar foil ships, the ability to recruit a squadron of NPC wingmen, a reworking of space combat, new outlaw stations packed to the rafters with no goodniks, the ability to run smuggling missions, and most importantly, capes. The update is totally free and it's out right now on all platforms. So what got released last week? Not much, just some ports, some DLC, and an indie title I've been keeping an eye on. The DLC is for Back 4 Blood, which got its first major update in the form of Tunnels of Terror. Basically, no critic reviews out for this one at this point, so Steam reviews are all we've got to go on, and that isn't a great news story since it's sitting at around 45% mix at the time of recording. Reviews point to an update that feels very lightweight given that it's paid content, with no new campaign maps on offer, just these underground hive areas which can spawn during existing maps. Cool concept, but obviously it's not ringing everyone's bell. Only other release was Abrus, Build to Destroy, which launched into early access this week, and the feedback has been good. Very good, in fact. Sitting at 94% very positive on Steam. I have been playing this one, and I think it's fun. It satisfies a very base Neanderthalic urge to smash stuff, like Homer and that weather machine.
Come on, Marge. It's fun to smash things. I smashed it good. You got real pretty hair.
Abrus is out now, exclusive to PC. It's cheap, it's like $15 or whatever, so give it a shot if it looks like it might be your jam. So what's coming out this week? Not a lot. This is nice though. Lego Builders Journey is hitting PlayStation consoles today. This was previously available on PC, Xbox, and Switch, but for some reason, PlayStation was left out in the cold. No more, as from today onwards, Sony ponies will be able to engage in this soothing isometric puzzler. Very different vibe from Lego Star Wars, so get ready for some whiplash if you're making the jump direct. Speaking of Star Wars, The Force Unleashed makes its way to Nintendo Switch tomorrow. I played this back in the day, and this was the shit. You played a Starkiller, Darth Vader's secret apprentice, who has a sudden attack of conscience and decides to start mowing down stormtroopers instead. This one was really pivotal in the old Star Wars lore that Disney threw out when they were given the keys to the franchise, so if you haven't played this one, then I really do recommend checking it out at some point. Plus, if you're playing it on Switch, then it does support motion controls using the Joy-Con, so you can do the whole, fake lightsaber thing and feel like a total badass, but really, you just look like the Star Wars kid. If Abrus has wet your whistle for a bit of wanton destruction, then consider Teardown, which launches into 1.0 on the 21st after 18 months in early access. This one's clever. It's a heist game, but the world is really, really destructible. So rather than quietly sneaking in and out, the aim of the game is to destroy as much as you need to for a speedy heist. It's a voxel-based world, and the physics are crazy, resulting in some really impressive and inventive ways to get the job done here. I've only just booted this up, and within the first 10 minutes, I was just immediately sucked in by how good it felt to destroy shit in this game. There's a campaign, sandbox mode, challenges, and that's just the early access stuff. Did I mention that this thing is sitting at 96% overwhelmingly positive on Steam with 36,000 reviews in? Those are some pretty special numbers, so don't skip this one. I certainly won't be. Final release is Godlike Burger, also arriving exclusive to PC on the 21st. This is essentially Overcooked, but single player and with some narrative mystery stuff thrown in. What's the mystery? It's your secret ingredient, which it turns out is the customers themselves. So you need to somehow catch and kill aliens so you can turn them into meat patties and then feed them to other aliens. It's truly messed up, and I'm okay with that. It's out this week. Put this on your radar. Now I know what you're thinking, this is just Rocket League, but somehow with some golf angle crowbarred in there. And you're right, but I ask you, is that such a bad thing? Rocket League took the world by storm when it arrived on PS Plus, dazzling us with a physics engine so good that it birthed an entire genre. Racing games with balls. Big, bouncy balls, and you need to slam those balls deep into the goal. Turbo Golf Racing is the latest spin-off in that formula, classing it up a little by centering it on the world's most boring game, golf. No sport benefits more from the video game treatment than golf, mind you. Mario Golf, Golf Story, Lee Carvello's putting challenge. Perhaps Turbo Golf Racing will join that illustrious pantheon. Self-indulgent wordplay aside, this actually looks pretty fun. Simple, dumb fun with friends, or probably matchmaking too, I don't know. This has big PS Plus or Game Pass energy, so I reckon we can expect it on at least one of those platforms one day. If you're keen to sharpen your skills ahead of that, the game is hitting early access at some point soonish. No specific release date yet, but you can sign up to the beta on their website and wishlist it on Steam. I'll leave a link to both of those things below. Sort of free stuff time, and keeping with the theme of this episode, there isn't too much to report. Epic are doing their thing as always, currently giving away Roguelike Climber Insurmountable, as well as Strategy All-Timer XCOM 2. Come the 22nd, that'll tick over to 2 new offerings. The first is the horrific Amnesia Rebirth, and I mean horrific in the literal sense since it's a horror title, and not in the pejorative sense since I have not played it, and I have no idea how good it is. The other title is voxel-based Riverbond, a charming little co-op ARPG that features a nice cross-section of characters ranging from Guacamelee to Psychonauts to Shovel Knight. I like the look of the environmental destruction, one of the many things that Minecraft Dungeons didn't have, despite it being a perfect fit for that. But that is another story, let's not get distracted. The only other sort of free thing I'd shout out this week is that you may be eligible for a few free months of PC Game Pass if you meet some very specific conditions. First of all, you can't have ever had an active Game Pass subscription attached to your Microsoft ID. And secondly, you will have needed to play Halo Infinite, Forza Horizon 5 or Age of Empires 4 from their release date up to the 28th of February. If you did that, then you can claim your 3-month free trial of Game Pass over on the Xbox website. Just do some clicking around in there and you'll find it. Our feel-good story for the week isn't exactly about video games, but I do feel like No Fucking Thanks has become such a mainstay of this show that I'm sure you'll forgive me this little bit of schadenfreude. While Elon eyes the purchase of Twitter, you might remember that former CEO Jack Dorsey was one of the earliest adopters of NFTs, selling an NFT of the first ever tweet for the princely sum of $2.9 million. It was a sale that supercharged the entire NFT economy, and I'm sure that many gaming companies wouldn't be so keenly interested in NFTs were it not for this sale and those like it. The promise inherent in NFTs is that they will appreciate in value, and what could be more valuable than owning the first ever tweet? Or at least the receipt saying that you own the first ever tweet or something. I don't know, it's all bullshit. Anyway, point is, the line goes up, right? Not this time, bucko. This week, the guy who bought the first ever tweet for nearly $3 million put it up for auction, hoping to secure a price of $48 million. The highest offer he received was a little short of that, $47,996,400 short, to be precise. Yes, the dude who bought a tweet NFT for nearly $3 million got offered just $3,600 for it at auction, in what is easily the most public and most satisfying demonstration of the collapse of the NFT market. Imagine thinking you had a multi-million-dollar mansion on your hands, and then someone offers you a $5 for it. That's basically the same thing as this. Like I said, I know this isn't related to video games, but this really did fill me with a warm and fuzzy feeling because it gives me a lot of hope that this sad fad is going the way of the dodo and that video games might be spared. We can all hope. Speaking of hope, I hope you enjoyed yourself today, and if so, then I hope you'll drop a like on the video, and I hope you'll subscribe, maybe even ding that bell. I'm deep in my backlog right now. I just finished Ghostwire Tokyo yesterday, in fact, in preparation for a review going up this weekend, and I certainly have a lot to say on that one. After that, I think I'll check out that Trek to Yomi game, since I just got sent a code for that, and then Stanley Parable, since there's a new version of that coming out next week, and to my great shame, I'll admit that I've never actually played the original. Please don't judge me. It's a nice time to check out stuff you've missed and little indies you might have otherwise skipped, so that's why I'm always okay with a bit of a lull in the AAA release schedule. No matter what though, This Week in Video Games will be here waiting for you each and every week, so take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Oh, and a big thank you to this week's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. You ever lose your wallet with all your credit cards in it and then you have to cancel all those cards because who knows who'll find that wallet and what they'll do with it, right? Well, guess what? Your cards are probably all over the internet right now. Not the physical cards, mind you, just the numbers. But that's all hackers need to be able to start skimming money from you in ways you might not even notice for months. In 2022, we can't just trust every website we're shopping on to keep our data safe. We need to take our own steps to protect our own data, otherwise these sorts of hacks and scams are basically inevitable. Surfshark VPN is the best means of protecting your online data. Your passwords, your IP address, your personal information. Surfshark VPN encrypts your online data, protecting you from identity thefts and hacks, and their Clean Web feature automatically blocks over 1 million known malicious websites, phishing methods, and other threats. You know those chains you can get that stop pickpockets from stealing your wallet? Surfshark is like that, but for your internet wallet. Surfshark means you can browse and shop online with confidence. You can use Surfshark on multiple devices at once, which is something that almost no other VPN allows. It's available on pretty much every platform you can think of. It has 24/7 customer support, and it has a full 30-day money-back guarantee. Best of all, they're offering a special discount to viewers of this channel, giving you a massive 83% discount and 3 months free when you use offer code SKILLUP at checkout. Click the link in the description below or visit surfshark.deals/skillup. Thanks Surfshark for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching it.